Everyone, Chris here, the Thrift Shop Hustler. We're going to do another Know Your Stuff video today. Today's subject's going to be on Hot Wheels. I know that many of you have come across these throughout your sourcing adventures. I've been collecting Hot Wheels on and off for pretty close to 20 years. So I know a pretty good amount about this stuff, and I wanted to do a pretty basic video. We're not going to go super deep into what's going on with Hot Wheels, but I'm going to give you pretty much the general things to look for, and we can do that. So those that are new to the channel, my name's Chris, Thrift Shop Hustler. I've been reselling for almost 30 years. Started with baseball cards, and been doing a lot of collectibles. Been doing eBay stuff before eBay. There was Yahoo Auctions and UBid, and ran a couple of eBay stores when I was younger for hobby shops in my city. So I have a pretty good knowledge base on collectibles, and that's my niche. So welcome to the channel. If you're new, those that are older subscribers, I appreciate it. We're almost at 200 subscribers, which is awesome. So I definitely really appreciate that. So without further ado, let's get to know, bless you, Hot Wheels. So basically, I wanted to break this down. Hot Wheels started in 1968, which is a pretty good amount of time ago. And just like I broke down some of the other stuff, there's pretty much like 3 or 4 generations of Hot Wheels that I want to talk about. The first generation are called Redlines, and some of you might have heard about those, so let's get into that. And what they are is the vintage stuff from the 50s and the 50s, the 60s and the 70s, and I think they actually had some Redlines in the early 80s, but I'm not 100% sure. And what we're looking at here is I'm trying to find a good picture of a Redline that we can show you what exactly that means. When you hear Hot Wheels Redlines, it is referring to the red stripe that is on the wheel hub. As you can see right here on this beach bomb. And those are what are called red lines. These are the earliest ones. Now, not to be mistaken, over the years, they have reprinted them. And so you have to be on the lookout for that, because a lot of some of the newer stuff will have the bases that are kind of the same because they've reused the bases. So always kind of, when you're looking for Hot Wheels red lines, you want to make sure that they are not reprints. And there's no really perfect way to tell other than looking at the bottom, and they'll have some of their mint markings will be different. So those are the red lines, and as you can see, you're going to mostly, if you're going to find these at estate sales or thrift shops, they're going to be in like this condition. Usually they're going to be beat up, they're going to have wear on the tires, and this is a really good indicator that you know you have an authentic one, because you're not going to find mint ones in the field. I mean, you could come across them, but for the most part, 99% of the time is you're going to come across these kind of ones that are really beat up and stuff. And so you really want to look out for those. And those are red lines. And these are the most expensive ones. We'll go to finished items. And then we'll talk about some of the red lines you should be looking out for, because the thing is, the colors have a lot to do with it. And you can see there's like a Spectra Flame paint job. They're kind of like chrome looking. And those are a lot of old ones had that kind of paint job. So let's go into completed items, sold listings. We'll sort by highest first, because this will actually give us a good indicator about what's what. You know, and as you can see, the ones in the packaging are usually the ones that are going to go for the most amount of money, as you can see here. And we'll just open this one up. This is like the old blister packaging. So like if you saw one that was hanging in on the shelf in the 60s, this is what it would look like, as you can see here. And they came with these little these little pin tab things too. Finding a mint on card Redline is going to be like the holy grail of stuff you want to find. So this is what they look like. They actually did reprints of these too, but if you look on the back, they're going to have like the old dates on them and everything. A lot of the newer ones will say like 1993 because they came in the similar packaging, but they obviously stamped with the newer dates. So also be on the lookout for that because they did do reprints. So, but I wanted to get into some of the Redline stuff. A lot of the pink colors and the purple colors are the ones that are the most valuable. As you can see here, even the light blue that's called ice blue. If you see any of them that are like this color, this ice blue, they're kind of a lighter blue. They go for a pretty good amount of money. Look at this one, ended at almost $1,000. And I want to actually talk about this. If I could, yeah, I can't zoom in here because I want to talk about conditioning. Now, most of the old ones, you're going to find this pitting, which is all these little spots on the paint job. And over time, that happens through like oxidation and things. So you're going to find that. You're going to want to describe it as pitting. There's also another term, and I can't remember off the top of my head, where there's discoloration in the actual paint. I think, oh no, it's called toning. So like back here, there would be some toning right here. As you can see, it's darker. This isn't really a great example. There's some more pitting right there. And let's see more pitting. This isn't a good example, but toning will depreciate the value somewhat. Not on the rare ones, because you can find some rare ones, and usually people aren't too concerned about that. But when it comes to like these higher end ones that are in good conditioning, the collectors want to know about toning. As you can see back here, there's a little bit of toning. If we can get a good shot. I think this one is the Cougar. And also you want to look for interior. Some of the rare ones that are from Hong Kong or the ones that were made in the US have different colored interior. And I know that there's like there's a certain ones that have like the white interior that are worth a lot more. It could be like 5 times the value by just a different kind of interior. So with Redlines, if you can get them at a good price, you always want to buy these. I mean, they're hot. Even if they're in like super damaged condition, you can still get $10 to $20, $30 each on them. And then look how high some of these prices are just for the loose ones. As you can see, you know, this cord, classic cord, goes for a lot. A lot of the bugs, the VW bugs, go for a lot. The Olds 422, a lot of the muscle cars go for a lot. But the most sought after color is this hot pink color. Let me show you here. This hot pink color. I forget what the collectors call it. I think they want to call it like salmon or something like that, but it's like a pink color. And they didn't, I don't know if they didn't make too many of this color or they just never survived, but that is the color to look for. Also, purple is a really good color to look for. But to be honest, like any color, you want to look for these. And if you're lucky enough to find these, you know, on card, you know, is a very important thing. So if you're going to find these on card and you're going to list them, make sure that you are listing all the, you want to use all 12 of the photos. And these older cars, they're loose in here sometimes and they bang around in the plastic and the bubble, and you can see over time, you know, they start to separate, they crack because they're older, and you kind of want to talk about that. As you can see, there's from rubbing on the top here, the paint is kind of on the pinstriping, it's kind of transferred over into the white. So you want to look out for that. So those are Hot Wheel Redlines. So I'm pretty sure some of you have heard about Hot Wheel Redlines. These are pretty much like, you know, the top of the line Hot Wheel stuff that you really want to look for. If you come across these, you might find these in the attic, a garage, something like that. And then, so this was basically the 60s and the 70s. The 80s were the first time the blue Hot Wheel blue cards came out. So this is like another generation blue card. So someone in their 30s or 40s might remember these. In the late 80s, And this is an early one. When you see a Hot Wheels packaging like this was early 80s. This one right here, in this kind of packaging, was mid 80s to late 80s, early 90s. And some of those are worth a pretty good amount of money, but not much. I mean, they're very specialized ones. The blue cards, as you can see, they're called collector cards. This is pretty much like the blue card collector series, and you can see there's a little number on the bottom here. And nowadays the numbering is pretty crazy, but back in the 80s you were able to, like, you can look these up very easily. You just type in Hot Wheels blue card, see number 98, and that'll tell you if you're sourcing what is what. And let's talk about the real riders from the 80s. I remember when I started collecting these in the early 90s for resale, real riders was the thing that I always looked for. So we'll type in real riders. These were like hot back in the day. And we'll sort this by highest first because I want to show you. Also, it says, real riders on the packaging. And let me take out blue card here because we're not coming up. There should be a lot more listings than that. There we go. So these are the newer real riders. See, that's what I didn't want to look for. I want to look for older ones. Okay, look at this. These are the older ones from the 80s. And what the term real riders means is that they had rubber wheels. Let's see if we can get a better photo of this. As you can see, they have rubberized wheels. They're not the plastic wheels that Hot Wheels are known for. They had like these squishy Goodyear tires. Some of them said something else on them. You're going to find a lot of these loose. If they're in mint condition, they can go for a pretty good amount of money, anywhere from like $20, $30, $40 on up. If you can find them on card, of course, that's a different story. As we can see, these two went for about $250. Here is a loose one, and you're pretty much going to find the loose ones when you're out and about. As you can see, it's got the rubberized wheels. This one is in pretty good condition. And you see like the little bumps on the top of the roof. That is due to taking a picture on a napkin. You can see the reflection on the napkin. So someone that is just looking at this casually is going to think there's a defect in the paint. So make sure when you're taking photos of anything that you're not reflecting anything that's going to cause like a false look at this, because you see how there's kind of like bumps on there, but it's due to the rippling in the tissue paper. So those are real riders. That was from the 80s. You want to look out for those. They actually created new real riders in the late 90s, and they did them all throughout 2000s because they have a collector club that you were able to like buy exclusive Hot Wheels through their website, and I think they're still doing that to this day. As you can see, this is kind of like a DeLorean. This is a newer packaging, and this is from the Redline Club. You can find these sometimes at thrift shops and garage sales, and they're going to be in packaging. Anytime you see Hot Wheel real riders like this, and they're a pretty good price, like between $2, $3, $4, you should pick them up, especially if they're on card. And so those are those, and that's pretty much the 80s era. There was the blue cards. And I actually want to let's go dive into the blue cards real quick and show you some of the highest prices on some of these. And as you can see, look at this. This is just a Mustang convertible on a blue card. This one went for $167. And this one had white walls. And I don't know what the special one about this one is, why it went for so much. It could have been also a variation. And that's actually a good segue to talk about Hot Wheel variations and errors, because you can find some. We'll say Hot Wheels variation. The term variation is a term that means something different. So that's the same style with something different, and they're factory made. They're not errors, and we can get into errors in a second. But variation, and this is actually a good thing to show you a variation. This one's actually a variation on the actual paint job and the wheels. So actually that's not a good, I want to show something that is super similar but different so that you can see what a true variation is. And we can talk about this one. This one's actually a variation. I think this one, let's see here. As you can see, the variation here would be the pipes. This one is a gold one. This one is a silver one. You know what? Let me go back one. The 1998 series had a bunch of variations in it. Let's see if we can find one that has two of them. Oh yeah, this is a good one. So like this Mercedes came in like all different types of wheels. As you can see here, I hate when I can't zoom into these because they took low quality photos. Oh, here's a good one. As you can see here, this is actually a really good one to show you. So you look at this 1998 first edition and you can see like, oh my, it looks pretty much the same, but you're wrong. You see the wheels in the back, how the hub is smaller on this one and larger on this one. This is a variation. And what you got to do is you got to determine which one is the more higher valued one. And usually the higher valued one is the one they made less of. So that's a Hot Wheel variations. They've had variations throughout the years, so you have to do your research on those. And these are Hot Wheels. We can get into this real quick. These are the 90s versions. As you can see, they still have the collector number right here. And you can see the packaging has changed throughout the years. There's probably an infographic on Google that you could see the Hot Wheel cards through the generations. So we have, the red lines from the 60s, the red lines from the 70s, the blue cards from the 80s, the real riders from the 80s. These are the 90 version. And this is when Hot Wheel collectors really started to get into the hobby where they weren't just making them for kids anymore for playing with. They were actually making them for collectors, and that's what the first editions. And we can talk about Hot Wheel treasure hunts in the 90s. I think 1996 or 1995 was when Hot Wheels came out with treasure hunts. And what treasure hunts are kind of like chase cars that they didn't make too many of them. And so like they came like maybe one a case. And let's actually look at the highest one. So these were pretty much like randomly inserted. Okay, yeah. So 1995 was the first time that treasure hunts came out. And actually JCPenney came out with a set. And you could see they were all packaged in one whole deal here. And some of these go for hundreds of dollars each. I think the Camaro, the 1969 Camaro is the one that is the most sought after. 67 Camaro, excuse me. So this was the first year treasure hunts came out. You can find these on the shelf. As you can see, these had real riders also. And the thing is about the treasure hunts back in the 90s and the early 2000s, they made it very obvious that it was a treasure hunt. See, it's named Treasure Hunt. It says limited edition here in the corner. Look how much this went for. $600. I remember when I first started collecting Hot Wheels in the mid 90s that this one was probably around $150 to $200. And even back then, that was an extremely crazy price to pay for a single Hot Wheel. But look at it now, it's $600. It actually appreciated a great amount over the years. So these are treasure hunts. They ran from 1995 to current day. So let me show you a 2017 treasure hunt, since that is the year that we are in right now, and I'm going to show you the difference between now treasure hunts. The treasure hunts from now is here's the crazy part, they don't tell you that it's a treasure hunt anymore. They're not labeled treasure hunt anymore. So you kind of got to know your stuff now. Before, back in the day, a scalper or a reseller or whoever, even an employee, would just rummage through the sides just to find that green little tag and then pull them. They were super easy to find. Now they actually are truly a treasure hunt, and you have to look for them. So in the newer treasure hunts, there's actually two versions. There's a regular treasure hunt and a super treasure hunt, and we can get into that real quick too here. Yeah, I need to find a good example of a super treasure hunt and a regular treasure hunt. And the regular treasure hunts are going to have the plastic wheels. And of course, you have to do your research because every series is going to have a different one. And Hot Wheels comes out with like, I want to say like 10, 12, 20 different cases every year. And a case is basically just a variety of different ones. Let me see if this is a super treasure hunt and a regular one that I can show you guys. No, these are all regular ones. Usually the regular ones are going to have plastic wheels. And we'll say super treasure hunt. The super treasure hunts are usually going to have these rubberized wheels, just like the real riders. So if you're at Toys R Us and you're looking through the Hot Wheels and you see like just the regular Hot Wheels that are like, you know, the regular cards, but you notice that like, why is there rubber wheels on one of those cars? That's usually a super treasure hunt, and you should pick it up, or at least grab it off the shelf and look it up on eBay, because it might just be just another series that's not from the regular series. And I know that the Mystery Machine had a super treasure hunt and a regular treasure hunt. And as you can see, they're just regular plastic wheels. So always do your research. This is just kind of like if you're in Walmart or in Target or wherever, it's a kind of a good side thing to know. Because if you're in there anyways, you might as well go look on the shelves to see if they have some of these things. Because I've found them. I've never found a super treasure hunt in the wild because pretty much where I live, it's there's a lot of kind of resellers and a lot, we call them scalpers, because they're the dudes that like push people out of the way just to get the toys, and they all get the good stuff and then they throw them on eBay. They're kind of, you know, some of the people are kind of rude, some of them are nice, but for the most part, you know, where I live in the outside of Los Angeles, there's a lot of people doing this. So finding these is going to be super rare, because not even that, another problem with we can get into this real quick, treasure hunts and Hot Wheels in general. Usually the Target and Toys R Us employees, they know about this, and they're going to pull these from the cases and put them to the side and buy them themselves. It's kind of sad, but that's just the reality of it. You know, they're resellers too. And if you're in that, I mean, I guess I would probably do that too. You know, if I was in if I made minimum wage and I was in Toys R Us and worked there and knew that like these Hot Wheels are worth $40, $50, it's a good supplemental income. So I don't really blame them for that, but it's harder for us. For what's sad is like the real collectors that don't want to pay that much money and kind of just want to buy them for $1. You know, it's hard. So that's super treasure hunt. So let me see what we've gone over. We've gone over real riders. We've gone over red lines. Oh, we haven't gone over errors. We'll do that real quick. We'll go Hot Wheels errors. An error is a factory error. That's something that happened in the factory, whether it be they forgot to paint a tire, they forgot to add a tampo, and a tampo is basically like a little decal thing on the side. And it's actually something that was unintentional, meaning that it's truly an error. It was something that went through quality control and went through quality control. And the thing is, Hot Wheels quality control is very crazy. You should look on YouTube, Hot Wheels quality control. They do some crazy stuff with these before they get sent out to the public. They'll smash them with hammers. They got all kinds of different tools. So as you can see, there's some good money in errors, but I want to try to find an error that is very clear so that you know what I'm talking about. Because I want to see something that has two examples so you can see the one that is correct. This is actually a funny one. This is actually a pretty crazy error. Like the fact that this even went through quality control is unbelievable. So look at this. There's no base to these. That is insane. The fact that these went through quality control meant someone really didn't care. And actually, these are actually really funny errors. Wow. They don't even have the bottoms. That is insane. So this would be a true error. Usually errors, the most common errors you're going to find is like a bad wheel, a unpainted wheel. Like look at this one. This one has a variation in the wheel. And let's read, this one has PR5s. And let's see what the error is on this one. Oh, here's a good example. Hopefully they show you two different versions of this. It doesn't let me zoom. Oh, here we go. See, I don't see the error on this one. As you can see, sometimes like you see these two white dots, like sometimes they'll come out of the factory like with, maybe they're missing the white dot. And those are those, and you can look for those. Now, that is pretty much Hot Wheels in a nutshell. And that's pretty much the basic gloss over it, because the thing is, these are like the they're dollar ones, and that's what we're talking about. Hot Wheels has all kinds of brands. They have like 1/18 scale. This is 1/64 scale for anyone who is a die cast person. Scale is basically the size comparative to a real car. A real car scale would be 1:1. So 1/64th is 64th to the power when it comes to how many times smaller than a real car is. HO scale, I want to say is, oh man, I'm drawing a blank, 187. So 1 to 87th scale. Hot Wheels are 1/64 scale. Hot Wheels also came out with 1/18 scale, which is a lot larger. They're probably about, I want to say about 9 inches long to about a foot long. And we can talk about that real quick, because sometimes I think some of those larger Hot Wheels might be worth something too. I haven't looked at this in many years. Let's see if there's anything that... they don't make too many of these, because people don't really buy large cars anymore, unless they're like, for display or something. But let's look real quick to see if there's any ones that are crazy. Wow. Okay, so some of these like movie ones go for a pretty good amount of money. And I guess they're called Hot Wheel Elites. See, this is how long I've been out of the game, is I don't even know about these. As you can see, this one went for $350. And 1/18 scale, like I said, is about like, 9 to a foot long. They're big, they're kind of heavy. Let me see if I can find one that I remember from when I started collecting. So like, yeah, look at this green bug, or green Volkswagen van. As you can see, it says 1/18 scale on the side here, limited edition. This is the drag bus. This was actually used for many different customs over the years. It was a good base. Actually, let's look at the Hot Wheel customs. I want to show you that. There's another kind of side kind of deal when it comes to Hot Wheels, is actually people will customize them. They'll take them apart, repaint them, put different wheels on them, and repackage them. And there's no really good examples of that here. So yeah, that's Hot Wheels in a nutshell. We can seriously go super, super deep into different things, but the things you want to look for the red lines, you want to look for these men on card. If you can find a bunch of ones from the 90s or the 2000s, those aren't usually going to be worth that much, the ones that are in packaging. So like if you can find them for like 50 cents each, the ones that are the newer ones in the packaging, that's a pretty good buy. You can easily flip those for like $3 or $4 or $5 each. So like, let's say you go onto a yard sale and they have a box full of ones that are on card, and you can get them for a good price for the whole box. You should definitely pick those up, and look out for the little red lines, the loose ones, because you're going to find mostly red lines loose. You're going to find some of the men on card ones very rarely. I've never found one in the wild. I've actually been able to get one on Goodwill.com, and it was in a package. It was in a lot of stuff that no one realized that was in there, so I was able to get a good deal on that. So I want to thank everyone for watching this episode on Know Your Stuff. If you have any questions about Hot Wheels stuff, you can leave them in a comment below. I will answer every single comment that is posted. Click the like button if this helped you out in any particular way. Hot Wheels, you can find them everywhere. They're a good seller on Amazon, especially the older ones. During Christmas time, A lot of parents go to Amazon to find like the specialty ones that they're missing for a set or something like that. So Amazon's a pretty good place to sell these. Also, the regular ones that you can find in the store, you can scan those with your iPhone or Android using a specific app, and you can check those different prices out. So look out for treasure hunts also. So now hopefully you know a little bit more than you knew before, especially what to look for when you're out hunting. And my name's Chris, the Thrift Shop Hustler. I appreciate everyone's support, all the subscriptions. I appreciate it. And like I said, leave a comment below, click the like button if this helped you out any way, and we'll see you next time on Know Your Stuff.